So here are the 4 Quirky cars that are sadly not coming to the US. Starting with the Renault Zoe. The Renault Zoe has a starting price of £26,000, almost 27,000 English pounds. That will convert. That's before the car grant, $3,000, £3,000 car grant from the English government. Now, if you put that onto the price, it will cost $30,000, which is 40,000 US dollars. Now it has a range of 245 miles. Now for 40,000 US dollars, you can get a Tesla Model 3, the base model, for much less, at $38,000 before any government grant in the US. And the Tesla Model 3 has 263 miles. People in the UK calls it Super Mini. It's essentially what's a hatchback in the US, but they call it Super Mini. And I think rightly so, because this car is only 160 inches long. Now, for perspective, Model 3, which is actually pretty small, compared to like Model S, something like a Model S, is 184 inches long. And that's a whole 24 inches. It's like 2 feet longer than this car. Now, what's so quirky about this car? I will let Car Wow's Matt Watson tell you.
What's so good though is that the fact that the batteries are underneath the floor and they sit underneath the seats, so they raise the seats up. You'll probably see here, look. As a result, Renault's decided to not give you height adjustment for the driver's seat. So if you're really small, you won't be able to raise it up. And if you're really tall, you won't be able to lower it down.
Yuck, that sucks. For our second quirky cars, we have the Honda E. And this car was launched in 2020. It was just launched. It has a range of 137 miles. And it sells without subsidies for 30,000 English pounds. What's so quirky about this car is that it has no side mirrors. Instead, it has cameras. And these cameras can give you 2 types of view, the normal view and the wide view. So obviously you can see more in the wide view, but I wonder what the trade-off between the two are. Because obviously if there's no trade-off, why would you use anything but the wide view? And the other thing I'm super curious about is just how did Honda get this camera system into the production car? Because it's certainly not the first car to do so. I mean, as I remember, in 2012, Tesla launches Model X prototype, and on it there's no side mirror too, and there's just a camera on each side. And how it's supposed to work is that whatever the camera sees will be displayed onto the digital dashboard behind the steering wheel. But Tesla eventually ended up with a car that doesn't have the systems and with just the traditional mirrors attached instead. Our third quirky car is the VW ID3. This car was just announced in 2020 and it goes on sales for 33 grand. Now on the UK configurator, on the UK website, on the VW's UK website, the configurator displays the price to be 30 grand, but it was before the government subsidy. And for that much money, for 33 grand, you get a range of 200 miles. Now, whenever I look at these car manufacturers' website, I just feel so cheated over. I mean, if you look at all the image in the gallery, you will see that the car is supposed to look like this, and the wheels supposed to look like that, and the body style, and also the headlight supposed to be shaped like that, or like this. But for the base model, if you look at the image in the configurator, you're getting something like that. So for 33 grand, which is by no means cheap, You're getting something that's completely different than what's advertised. And then there is the interior. This is how the interior was advertised to look like. But instead, on the base model, you got something like that looks like this. That looks like this. And it's black, and you have no other color choice but black. Okay, what's quirky about this car? I will let Carwell's Matt Watson to tell you.
It's actually a starter button, but that's just there for old time's sake.
Now, to add to what Matt just said, this button actually does nothing more than turning on and off some lights on the instrument cluster, like the dashboard screen. So when you walk in, the car already knows that you're in. So the motor's already turned on for you. But for some people who like to press a button, this is for them. Our fourth and last. I know, I can't find another car that's quirky. So pardon me. So our last quirky car, is the Fiat 500e. Now, this model, Fiat hasn't decided whether it will give it to the US market. But based on the fact that the previous gasoline-powered Fiat 500s has been terminated for production in the US, there's a very slim chance that this new all-electric model that replaces the older version will come to the US in 2021. Now, it has 3 models, but the quirkiest model of the 3 has to be the 3+1 version. So what everyone's calling the suicide door is that door that opens in 2 pieces outward, kind of like how you escape during a fire. Only exists on one side of the car, so the other side doesn't even have it. And in order to open the rear smaller part of that door, you have to open the front door first, like the front passenger's door, and then you can open the smaller one. I will show a demo later, but for each of these 3 body styles, you have different trim levels. You have, for example, you have icons, 500 icon, 500 passions. And for the 3+1 body style, I see these 3 trim levels. And from what I see right here, it feels like only the most expensive La Prima, I don't know how they call it, La Prima versions has that 3+1 combination door, suicide door. The La Prima version will cost 30 grand in English pounds before any subsidy by the government. And it will give you 199 miles of range. Here's a fun fact. If you go for the cheapest hatchback non-3+1 body style and get the cheapest trim, the 500 Action, you won't even get a infotainment screen. All you get is a digital dashboard, and a phone mount. And that version will cost 23 grand before any subsidy. And the range figure is much less, but Fiat hasn't released yet. Here's another quirk, the pebble necklace that you wears. It's like another passive entry for the car to detect your presence. You still have the key though, but in addition to the key, Fiat will give you this stylish pebble necklace key. Here, I will let Thomas from Autogefühl explain how the 3+1 door style works.
Interior test here of the 3+1 version. So normal door in the front, and then this is here the second door right here is actually then more practical. The clear advantage is, first of all, if you want to install some child seats, for example, then you just have a way better access. Have it right here, put the seat